These words from Swami Kriyananda from the book Affirmations for Self-Healing. This week's affirmation is on concentration. Concentration is the secret of success in every undertaking. Without concentration, thoughts, energy, inspiration, purpose, all one's inner forces become scattered. Concentration is the calm focus of one's full attention on the purpose at hand. Concentration means more than mental effort. It means channeling your heart's feelings, your faith, and your deep aspirations into whatever you are doing. In that way, even the little things in life can become rich with meaning. Concentration should not involve mental strain. When you really want something, it is difficult not to think about it. Concentrate with interest on whatever you do, and you will find yourself absorbed in it. We'll now do our affirmation together, first loudly, and then we'll go quieter each time. Whatever I do in life, I give it my full attention. Like a laser beam, I burn from before me all problems, all obstructions. And now a bit more quietly in a speaking voice. Whatever I do in life, I give it my full attention. Like a laser beam, I burn from before me all problems, all obstructions. Now in a whisper, whatever I do in life, I give it my full attention. Like a laser beam, I burn from before me all problems, all obstructions. Now mentally, with your superconscious, bring these words into truth in your being. Whatever I do in life, I give it my full attention. Like a laser beam, I burn from before me all problems, all obstructions. And now listening to this prayer, feeling this in your heart, help me to see thee, Lord, as the scripture describes thee, the most relishable. Help me to concentrate on thee, my gaze, my love, my aspirations, my entire being. Om. So just wanted to welcome you all again to Sunday. This is week 31 of the year, and our topic today is how democratic is truth. So we'll be reading the Rays of the One Light, which is weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. It's inspired by Yogananda, something Swamiji gave to all of us. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. We live in an age when people assume that knowledge should be available equally to all. In matters susceptible of judgment by normal common sense, however, everyone knows there are exceptions. Access to a control room for intercontinental missiles is limited by universal consent to a very few. Access to the controls of a passenger airline is limited to those with the necessary knowledge for operating them, and also to those with the proper authorization. If people don't see the disadvantages of making more subtle knowledge universally available, it is only because they are ignorant of the risks involved. In the case of subtle knowledge, the main disadvantage in making it universally available is the harm it might do to one who isn't ready for it and who might even mock it. True, by mocking truth, he might undermine the faith of a few truth seekers, but then such tests can also be beneficial as a means of strengthening faith. Again, true, the clever doubter's misrepresentation of those truths may dissuade a few seekers from following the spiritual path. But if a seeker really is sincere, they will recognize the truth eventually because it resonates with their own being. No, the greatest problem accrues to the shallow doubter themselves. To give them an opportunity to affirm their ignorance might only estrange them even more from the truth, delaying the time when they will turn, as all people must eventually, to the light. Thus, the scriptures advise not secrecy, but discretion in the sharing of truth. Jesus Christ says in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 7, "Give not that which is holy unto dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you." And Sri Krishna says in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, "Never speak of these truths to one who is without self-control or devotion, who renders no service, who does not care to hear, or who speaks ill of me." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om. 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 Welcome today. Good morning. Today is just me, although I believe Nara's here in spirit very much. And he's actually over at where our center will be, working on the walls and the painting and whatnot. And Artie's homesick, so here we are. So thanks for joining while you are all here online and being a part of Sunday together. It's so nice to do that and make time for this opportunity to be in tune with each other and with spirit. And so this week's topic, how democratic is truth? To me, it's always interesting to see how Swamiji pairs the reading of the week with the affirmation. And so thinking about what is the relationship between concentration and truth, what comes to mind is every week when we read from that truth is one and eternal, realize oneness with it in your deathless self within, and how much concentration it would take to realize truth. If you think about truth as the higher self, we think of self-realization, or in this case, it's truth realization. It requires all of our concentration to really feel that we're digging beneath what Maya's kind of put before us. Another definition of Maya being the measurer. So remember, Maya is really not something bad. It's just what we give measurement to: time, space, what roles we have. how far we've come, or how great we're doing in this area, how bad we're doing in another. It's all measurement, because the truth is we are just spirit in these little bodies that are encasing a soul. And that is the higher self. That is the truth realization that we must concentrate on to realize. And one of these phrases that comes to mind is from psychology, and the phrase is cognitive dissonance. And some of you might be familiar with that already, but for anyone who's new to it, its premise is that when we are not being truthful, so our cognition, which is our thoughts and the way we present our consciousness, is dissonant, which means out of harmony. And what it looks like in a person is someone who's very tense and uncomfortable because they're not being truthful to how they really feel about something. So if you think of that applied to all of us on our soul journey, it's a bit like the tension we feel when we're apart from truth, apart from spirit. So think of all those moments in our daily life where we're not expressing our soul nature, perhaps. So when we get caught up in our worries about money, a measurement, that's all just numbers and of energy, right? Or we're getting caught up in a role. Am I a good mother? Am I a good partner? Am I a good teacher? Am I a good counselor? Am I a good engineer? Whatever it might be, a good healer. It's starting to put us in a place away from that truth because we're adding in measurement. We're adding in stress. We're feeling dissonance, which is that disharmony, because we have left the truth that we are a soul. We get caught up easily in this kind of Maya power that makes us go away from that center of our reality, which is, I am actually just here to be reminded of who I really am, because in truth, I am one. Realize this in our deathless self. I am a soul, which means I am not in one life. I am eternal. I am actually a part of something that is simply bliss, trying to remember that through this earth dream. And when we get pulled out of that truth, we start to feel the ups and downs, don't we? We feel that dissonance, we feel disharmony. We see the world in chaos and out of harmony with truth that we're all one, we're all connected. When we hurt others, we're hurting ourselves. And people forget this truth. And why do we forget? Because we're not one pointedly concentrated on spirit. And what is meditation? One pointed concentration on God, or one of the aspects of God. So concentration is very much tied into realizing our truth. And we need concentration because when we practice concentration, we can be, as Swamiji said, successful in anything we're trying to do. Now, for people whose goals may not be to find freedom in bliss, or to realize the higher self, or to realize truth, they may or may... Sorry, Nara's here now. You coming in? Okay. He's probably getting tools. When we forget what it is that we're really trying to do, we've lost our concentration, haven't we? Because when we're concentrated on spirit, we're doing our japa, we're maybe chanting in the back of our minds, or even just trying to express a quality that is a soul quality rather than an ego aspect of expressing in the world. Whether it's getting frustrated or seeing, oh, that person is doing this to me, anything that separates us from the soul's understanding of reality, it makes us tense, and we put up a wall from feeling Divine Mother. And ultimately, our goal is to be one in her consciousness, to where you start feeling less and less of a distance between her and you, her as spirit and you as soul. And whenever we do our Hong Sa, what are we saying? Hong Sa, I am spirit. We're offering ourselves, that's the little finger that you can do in your Hong Sa practice. We're offering ourselves back into Divine Mother, which is bliss. And it's a consciousness that we must concentrate on attuning ourselves to, or else we're going to be brought into the measurement of time, of space, of those things that keep us from staying in attunement with that vibration. And so we want to do whatever we can to get out of dissonance. And it's so easy to do once you concentrate on that being your goal. As Swamiji was saying, it's with concentration that you can be successful in any endeavor. It's a magnetism that the more we feel connection with the light and with truth, we start to bring that into everything we do. And then it's more and more that wants to come in to us. It's a grace that we draw spirit back into our daily life. The other element about this week's topic is democracy, right? So how democratic is truth? And when you see that word, what might come to mind is the free world, the ability for all of us to have a say. And what this really tells us is that we all have a free will to concentrate on the divine, to either go into that place of harmony and attunement, or to go into more of a disharmony and being drawn into that, ups and downs. But if we choose to be a part of the free will to go deeper into concentration on spirit, we're likely to find that it's a lot more pleasing, right? It's a perpetuating positive cycle, but we still have to understand that it's our free will to choose that. And so it is true with others. And that's a big part of this topic is once we start to feel the positive magnetism of this journey and being in the right trajectory of the soul, you start to feel so excited and enthusiastic about the path because you see the benefits that it's having in your life. You feel the energy, you feel the joy, you feel the peace, and you start to want to share that. And so we all often know that story of Swamiji where he read Autobiography of Yogi and then he started to tell his family about Yogananda and the book and the teachings and how, everything is a delusion. The only thing that's real is this journey back to truth. And it wasn't the right moment and it scared the family. And then as they were saying in this reading, that can actually harm people on their spiritual path. So we want to be a channel also for what Divine Mother is with us, patience, and observe and tune into each soul on their own path. And when they're ready for that free will to be expressed, to support them. And Swamiji has another fun example of, he went and was at an event with a psychiatrist who was very, very, very scientifically literal to where he was, this is this cause and effect, and science is this one part of reality, and he was okay with that. But Swamiji was enthusiastic about the physics and, the chapter called The Law of Miracles and Autobiography of a Yogi, and it's all about how really underneath energy control and these miracles that the great yogi masters are performing is still physics. It's still energetic laws of the universe that man just hasn't yet discovered. And he was enthusiastic about sharing this with this psychiatrist to try to prove that God was real and that his miracles and his experience of miracles with Yogananda could prove to this man that, yes, God is truth. God is real. These miracles are just God. And Yogananda told him later that he shouldn't be sharing these miracles with such people, that it wasn't good for them and it wasn't good for Swamiji. So it's a matter of allowing, just as our Divine Mother does with each of us, our opportunity to realize these things. And a bit like with cognitive dissonance, there's a word in psychology, again, it's that defensiveness of the ego. So if you're a soul on a journey and you're going along your rhythm, right? And then what if somebody says to you, no, you have to go this way? And then it actually blocks your progress because you're not going in the way that your soul's evolution is already a part of. And so Swamiji and Yogananda are reminding us that we all have to respect each soul's journey, because it's on its own progress that will bring it to that truth eventually, to its truth realization. And if we get them on a defensive path, it might take them a very long time to get back to where they were meant to be before we interceded. So we have to remember that each soul is being respected by Divine Mother, and each of us as an expression of Divine Mother must be channels for that. But as Swamiji was saying to each of us with this affirmation of concentration, if we can see with our gaze, love, aspirations, entire being, the truth of spirit acting in our daily life, then we can understand the importance of that free will in allowing us to see God as just we were meant to at the perfect time. And it will bring us to a place where we can really help this world get back to the peace and harmony that, Babaji and Christ came to help us achieve again. This is a time, if you look at the yugas, where we're just beginning to understand energy, truth, in a new way. It's the age of energy, Dwapara Yuga. And one of the things that's hard for all of us on the spiritual path is to see people who have that, it's the Kali Yuga mindset of this is matter, this is truth. And that's just the way that they and their free will is going through this journey. And we have to respect where they are in their evolution and how they want to experience their authentic self. And I think another aspect of this week is that mentioning of how we can get our source of what we feel is right and what is our perception of reality from so many mediums these days. There's many messages of what's going on, and many people are tuning into whatever they feel is the right truth for them. But what Yogananda is saying is that if we, during such times of chaos and challenge and this kind of clashing of realities, if we can hold on to the truth with our concentration, complete concentration, we'll be in the consciousness that they're actually striving for. And what better way to help create change than to be a complete channel for that bliss, to be in attunement with the truth that as meditation takes us closer and closer and closer to here, to where we're here, radiating that truth of the soul manifest on earth. Imagine what kind of progress will come from more and more people living from here. There's not much you can argue with once you feel truth. And one of the things we're so blessed with on our path is Yogananda encouraging us to experiment in the laboratory of our own life. And with people that are struggling to find truth, they are in that cognitive dissonance, aren't they? A lot of people that aren't living in the truth of bliss are what? Frustrated. They want to fight. They want to argue. They're so defensive, right? And so the more that we project peace, because we're in the truth of bliss consciousness from our meditations, from our attunement with Guru, from our attunement with truth, and we're trying to do our very best to realize that every time we go out, every time we sit to meditate, we're putting out those vibrations. And every time that we do it together and we come to service together, we come to group meditation together, we let the feeling of a quality of God be the leading truth in our day, and we concentrate on keeping our energy there. That's how we will help these changes on the planet happen more and more peacefully. We can help every time they say the Yogananda's has a quote that was in Jyotish's blog this week about how every time we think bad thoughts or worries, or all worries become those wins. All of us worrying become greater wins. All of us having fiery anger becomes more fire, more anger that comes out onto the earth. But every time that we choose the truth of bliss, it puts out the peace. It puts out the opposite of that. And as we all know, the karma of the planet, think of that collision of karma. But as we know, if we choose bliss, we become closer to the center of emotion that just ceases to exist because there's no measurement of time, space, force. So the karma has nowhere but to dissipate and go out into neutrality. So we neutralize those forces of disharmony, of cognitive dissonance on the earth, the more we live in truth. We have to respect the free will of the people on the planet, but we can live it to our perfection in our own self, in our own life. But it takes our concentration and our will. And so one of the things that we're working on in our house is how do we apply our concentration in our meditation, in our discipline, in our reactive process, so that we can be better versions of ourselves, so we can express our truth. And every day that we do that, we end the day a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more happy, because we're living truth. We're not in dissonance. We get along better with each other. We get along better with the people at work. We get along better. And what does that do? Changes the whole planet. Every time you allow Master to come through your soul to another soul, and I'm doing that because I know you all have experienced it now that you are attuning to him. He'll just come through you. He'll smile through you. He'll come through your eyes. He'll use you as a channel to remind the soul that's there before you. This is actually all a play. It's God. We're here to find God, but it's in a moment of transmission. So we're actually allowing people to feel it. And then what? They have their will to choose. It may take them lifetimes, but every moment that we're allowing that truth to come through us in the way we are in this world, it's helping all the souls here evolve. So every time we choose God, we choose to concentrate on our spiritual life. We say, why am I here? Is to be truth realized. But just center your life around that. And all of us doing it together will really help. Think of the energy that we're being channels for in this country. All of us, where we are at our place of work, but in our families and with friends and in our communities, and just really allowing that truth to give us that harmony and peacefulness that everyone is trying to seek, especially during these times when there's more fear and more anxiety and more chaos kind of around us, and those disasters that come with our consciousness on the planet getting uncertain. And right now, the world needs people living in the truth that, we can stand unshaken against the crash of breaking worlds, because we know the soul's journey is to simply reunite with bliss. That's all that there is to this life. And then be a channel for that so that people can come to a place of rest and stillness where they're at peace. And this world, in the future ages, it's the best temperatures, it's the best weather, but it's because, as Yogananda said, our consciousness has become more at peace with Divine Mother. We're more attuned to reality of the soul. So the all that Maya around us, because we are creators of this dream together, becomes a really nice place to be. So if we kind of hold that vision, in our own spiritual journey and practice each day to be in harmony, to be living a truth that helps us to feel peace, and then we can share peace. All of us can be channels for something spectacular. And this is the opportunity of a lifetime. Each of our souls came here right now for this purpose. And so we just have to know in our very hearts, at the core of our being, that we're doing right by putting our practice at the center of our life and continuing to call on Divine Mother to reveal herself, and until we forget that we're separate and we feel oneness with her and with all. So thank you, dear ones. And we'll have a little music now to just take in this inspiration from Guruji, from Swamiji, from each of you feeling something today, uplifted energy in your hearts and minds and souls. And let's sing these little songs together. If you have your songbook, you can go grab it, and I shall get our music up. So the first song is God's Call Within.